Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
Happy to have you back. Rufai, how are you this morning?
When I was reading the intro, guess what was on my mind?
Tell me.
Those lovely children.
Oh, yeah, on Friday, right? Wasn't it so cool to see? I love that story. So and it actually went viral, really.
Oh, yeah.
So it goes to show that, you know, What's Trending is such a popular program. It's not just the adults that are watching. We have gotten the attention of children as well. Kudos to our ICV.
Yeah,
really.
kudos.
Well, all right. How are you, Ayo?
I'm good.
Yes?
I'm good.
You're looking lovely.
Thank you.
With everything that God has given you, because I know you own everything that you have.
Don't be too sure in
God's
today's
given.
Nigeria. But thank you very much.
Don't be too sure in today's Nigeria.
I can't even imagine Ayo. I'm praising Ayo. She's telling me something.
But she said something instructive. She said, don't be too sure in today's Nigeria.
I am sure of Ayo's beauty.
Because
Forget it.
You're not sure of what you own in Nigeria.
At least Ayo is my...
Because if you think you own money, inflation will eat it up.
Actually, it sounds funny, but guys, it's not funny at all.
It's not funny.
Just accept it. You're beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, all right. Well, let's begin What's Trending. With reactions to the visit by former Anambra State Governor and presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election, Peter Obi, to Oyo State to commiserate with the victims of the recent Ibadan explosion. Peter Obi was accompanied by activist and politician Aisha Yesufu and some Labour Party chieftains. They met with the governor of the state, Seyi Makinde, who thanked Obi for the visit and claimed that out of the 3 politicians who contested for the 2023 elections, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has not called or even sent a condolence text message over the explosion.
Particularly grateful because the president called me. You're 3 musketeers that went for that election. The president has reached out to me. You have reached out to me. But my own party candidate, not even a call or a text message. I mean, I'm saying it openly so that our leaders will know that you have time for politics, you have time for governance, and you have time for humanity. So we want to say thank you so much, sir, and we appreciate this visit.
Well, the spokesman to Atiku Abubakar, Paul Ibe, issued a statement clarifying that Atiku sent his condolences to the victims of the Ibadan explosion as well as the Oyo State Government, but that perhaps Makinde may have been too busy to keep track of media reports on the incident. Well, Rufai, Ayo, I mean, you did hear Seyi Makinde in that video. I mean, I did see that tweet. I believe it was January 17th, which I'll read. Atiku did send a tweet out. But Seyi Makinde was saying that he wanted a phone call or even just a text message. Let me read Atiku's tweet. Atiku on the 17th of January wrote, "I wish to express my condolences to the good people and government of Oyo State over the explosion that rocked the capital city of Ibadan late yesterday night. While the government continues to provide humanitarian support to victims of the explosion, I commiserate with the families of those who might have lost their lives and property to the explosion." Of course, there was a fallout in the PDP. He was part of the G5. I mean, I don't know, he expected Atiku to give him a phone call, which I think would have been the right thing to do. I mean, maybe just to close the gap with all of that. Politics is over. It's time for governance now. I mean, he appears to be reaching out to Atiku Abubakar at this time. Rufai.
Does he miss Atiku Abubakar?
Already.
So much.
Already.
So soon, when they were doing G5 and he had the state in his hand and he flipped it towards President Tinubu. He didn't know that there were consequences. I think what Atiku Abubakar has done by condoling, sending a general message on Twitter is all right.
It's enough, right?
It's enough. The question you should ask Seyi Makinde is, when last has he called Atiku Abubakar?
Okay.
That's the question you should ask him. See, and why didn't he say that why didn't he add Kwankwaso to the mix? Because there were many other candidates. Why is he focusing on Atiku alone? I mean, Peter Obi went there to miss him and all of that. Peter Obi has got no problem with him. But do you know the betrayal Atiku Abubakar is dealing with? Huh? You betrayed your own party man. Where's party loyalty? Because somebody had qualms with Atiku Abubakar, that's Mr. Wiki. You people went against your party. And you, Seyi Makinde, you joined them. Now you are saying Atiku should come to Oyo State. You want to beat a man and expect the man to come and cry in your front and be pushing his head? No, you should not do that now. Atiku Abubakar said, sorry about what happened. We all condone. Peter Obi went there. Yes, it's good, but it's Atiku's prerogative. But it's not because you are not chummy with Atiku. If you're on talking terms and he didn't come to visit you, that's another case entirely. But Peter Obi has no problems with anybody, so he went there. All of this, Seyi Makinde, and why is he saying it in public? Can I ask, does Seyi Makinde have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's number? So why don't you take the phone and text him? That Baba, I'm marrying. Why don't you text Atiku Abubakar? Why are you coming to say this in public? So let me tell you something now, Oji. I put it to you that it is now Seyi Makinde that is playing politics with the sufferings of Oyo people that were attacked in that explosion. And Seyi Makinde should stop it. Focus on your focus. Day your day. Focus on how you are going to ameliorate the challenge and how the investigation is going to come out. And how we can bring people, succor back to the people. At least how we can start to help those people to get relocation places. And how we can also advertise the need for insurance. I doubt if most of those homes are insured. And ensure that, we condone with those people properly. Not now bringing into the fact that Atiku Abubakar didn't call you. Now you are the one that is turning this into politics. As against what he said that the type of politics, now you are the one that is bringing politics into it. Because also you could equally mentioned the other candidates. You could have equally mentioned Kwankwaso. You could have equally mentioned all the other candidates that ran in the election. And they were not three main candidates. Kwankwaso
he said three musketeers.
It's an insult to Kwankwaso because Kwankwaso too got over 1 million votes.
1 million is a large amount.
It's a lot of votes.
It's a lot
in an election where the grand winner was 8 million or thereabout. Kwankwaso took out over one. You could have mentioned Kwankwaso names. So Seyi Makinde should watch it.
All right. Well, before I come to you, that the PDP has just been in tatters. That's what I would call it at this time. Over the weekend, we had a guest, Dr. Pierce, who had said that no, we can't say that the PDP is not rocking at this point. But you saw Daniel Bwala in France. If you can pull up that picture, Daniel Bwala visited Tinubu in France. But it's not the first time. He did go. And then Dr. Pierce was saying that he's not a PDP member. In fact, he's a political jobber. Yeah, that's the picture. That picture has been
trending.
Defending.
He said his work.
Yes, it is. But let me take a tweet from Frank Shaibu, who actually responded to this picture. Frank Shaibu wrote, the only time figures and homogenes were mentioned in the Bible was in 2 Timothy 1:15-18, and it was for abandoning Paul and the gospel. Can you imagine your legacy being left behind as a traitor? Apostle Paul knew the pain of betrayal. He also knew the comfort and camaraderie. Dr. Pierce has said Daniel Bwala is a political jobber at this point. But, the PDP, there's no more G5. It's now G1. And that the head of that G1 is Minister Governor Wike.
Well, from that visit and the statement of Mr. Peter Obi to Governor Seyi Makinde, obviously the G5 is not dead yet. There are still remnants of the G5, hence why he would make such a statement to the presidential candidate or about the presidential candidate of his party. Now, going to Mr. Frank Shaibu's, it's so wonderful to see different sides of the politics or political parties play and speak to themselves like this. At some point, they were in the same camp and they were speaking for the same party, and now he started quoting Bible scriptures to describe the betrayal. But Rufai, it brings me to your point about what Alhaji Atiku Abubakar must be going through, especially with regards to the level of betrayal. But this is politics, and we've seen it happen year after year, whereby there are no permanent friends or enemies, just permanent interests. And that's what Daniel Bwala has done. He has just aligned with his interest as it currently stands with the current president of Nigeria. However, there's a lot to be said then about character, integrity, whether you want to trust him fully, because if he could, he said many unprintable things about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu during the campaign season, and to see them now shoulder to shoulder, smiling, well, I hope that President Tinubu will eat with him with a long stick, because anything can happen. If he loses the second term and is with another person, Daniel Bwala might very well just move camp again and say it's not politics, it's just the way it works. But let me go back to the first statement by Mr. Governor Seyi Makinde. You know, his statement was very weighty. In fact, there were many stray bullets there because, number one, referring to the 3 candidates as musketeers, I don't think that was very flattering. I thought it was a bit derogatory in terms of the 3 musketeers, including the president. So he included the president of the Federal Republic as a musketeer, referring to that very popular book, The 3 with the same name title. But also he talked about, he neglected Kwakwanso. So he was saying that he discountenanced his involvement in
can we just be fair?
No,
he's saying the 3 top candidates.
Yeah, but it's still musketeers. But at some point it was the 4 musketeers, wasn't it? But beyond that, I'm just saying that stray bullets. So I didn't think that was the main thing. I said there were some stray bullets hitting some people just by themselves. But beyond that, very importantly, first, I must give him kudos for the way he handled this Ibadan explosion. He was very on top of things and he gave consistent updates on his social media platform. The same social media platform that is not now sufficient for him in terms of Atiku Abubakar sending his commiserations and condolences to him and the state. I think it was a cheap tactic and he should deviate from that. He's a very popular governor. The people seem to like him a lot. He's done quite a lot, a bit for the people of Oyo State and, just governing the state. So he should move away from that. But then I must also commend Mr. Peter Obi for being a statesman in every sense of the word and representing or changing the face of opposition as we know it in Nigeria, especially with regards to being very involved in matters concerning people, visiting, giving, making the right move. Say what you may, might be politics, whatever, but he's doing the right thing. This is what we called for the president to do when there were instances in different parts of the country where we said, show up, show empathy, let the people see you, let them see their leader. That is the true mark of a leader who is able to identify with people in their lowest of states beyond political differences, beyond political affiliations. I thought that was really good to mention.
Well said, Ayo. We'll take another story. Well, according to a detailed report by the Foundation for Investigative Journalism, the federal government, through ministries, departments, and agencies, has paid more than 900 million naira of public funds to different accounts in the last 3 months. This is all coming in the wake of the suspension of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Betta Edu, and the call for the sack of Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, Minister of Interior, for his alleged link to the 3 billion naira COVID funds said to have been transferred to private accounts. FIG used information posted on the Budget Gov Spend portal, which listed payments made by the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, National Productivity Center, Office of the Accountant General, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the Budget Office, and the Pension Transitional Arrangement Department. Well, according to the Nigerian Civil Service Financial Regulation 2009, the expenditures are direct violations of Section 713, which states that personal money shall in no circumstance be paid into a government bank account, nor shall any public money be paid into private bank accounts. An officer who pays public money into private account is deemed to have done so with fraudulent intention. 900 million naira in 3 months.
Okay.
I know you want to speak. Go ahead.
Ojo, what does this show?
Yeah.
It shows we have a culture of corruption in our bureaucracy. It shows we have a culture of corruption in our public procurement. So since we've been able to investigate and see this, what are we going to do as regards it? I think another circular should be issued round to remind them of the federal civil service regulations. And they should be made to face the full wrath of the law. I think there are consequences in those regulations. Pure and simple.
Yeah.
You can't be transferring government money into private account for transactions. It is wrong. Secondly, who is the ombudsman that watches over this process?
This is the question.
Who is the ombudsman who audits all of the accounts? Where is the Auditor General of the Federation? Where is the Accountant General of the Federation? Oh,
I just mentioned her name.
She too is
that
there.
department is part of that
Part of
as
it.
well.
You see?
I mean, kudos to that budgetspend.gov. Have you gone through that?
of the Accountant General Department is part of those that are, is it going to be? And that's why I see the Office of the Accountant General has been known as a cesspit of corruption in this country. Jonathan's time, the Accountant General then had a problem. EFCC had to return money. The last outgone one. What's happening to the Office of the Auditor General? Who does the internal audits? And you see, that's why I keep saying, let's bring technology and blockchain technology into procurement process in Nigeria. Because if you don't put technology in place, but the question is, will people allow technology work? You see, it's when people want to steal, they frustrate technology. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if the Minister of Interior has gone to see the Code of Conduct Bureau yet.
We haven't seen a report yet.
We have not seen a report. No. We are still waiting on that. He must have to see the Code of Conduct Bureau. So, you see, these are the things we say against President Tinubu's government. The I don't care, lackadaisical attitude, mumbo jumbo palomolo that happens in the government. And this is an indication that all the forces that are supposed to put the government together, they are losing the government. No accountability. In the next 3 months, if President Tinubu does not finalize sacking some ministers and some people in government parastatal, then he's joking with Nigerians.
All right. Well, also kudos to the Foundation for Investigative Journalism. Over the weekend, again, I had a guest and they were also talking about technology. You're talking about technology. Technology is in place, Rufai. That website is there. You can actually go into that website and you can actually trace the funds. We see these funds. We have paper trail. Where is the persecution? That is the point.
That's where we're lucky.
That's actually what it is. I was going to say that if you look at Nigeria, we're not actually backward. We have a very sophisticated mode of operation. So that's not our challenge. Our challenge is not the lack of software or facility or capacity to handle corruption. It is the will to do so. And the fact that we keep seeing these things, we'll make a lot of noise about it for a season, then it dies down. Nothing happens. From the very first moment when this Minister Betta Edu's case came out, I mentioned that the Accountant General has a case to answer.
You did. I was going to say that.
You can't say that. And, you know, everyone just puts their hand away and says, oh, it was her fault. But you were complicit as long as you didn't raise an alarm. And obviously, we can understand why, if this report is anything to go by, what we want, Oji, is not just headlines, not just exposes. We want actual. What is EFCC doing in terms of? We want actual punitive measures. Let's have scapegoats, not just suspensions, not just, okay, hush, hush. Let us see actual deterrence so that those who are coming afterwards will see that this government, this administration is serious about fighting corruption. Until we see those punishments, until we see scapegoats, heads rolling, then they're not serious about fighting corruption. Due process
has to be followed. Rule of law has to be followed. I mean, accountability is what we are calling for. Which takes me to another story here. The Nigerian Bar Association has called for the sack of the Minister of Art, Culture and Creative Economy, Hannatu Musanwa, from office for allegedly violating the National Youth Service Corps Act. The organization also asked the court to compel the youth service scheme to nullify the certificates given to Musanwa and a music producer, Kenny Ogungbe, alleging that the issuance of the certificates was against the law. The plaintiffs alleged that the mobilization of Musanwa and Ogungbe for the mandatory 1-year National Youth Service after exceeding 30 years of age was unlawful, illegal, and an affront to patriotism. I mean, we're still, looking at this story at this point, Rufai. I know that we have been discussing this story for the past couple of months. The fact that, the minister is still a serving member of the youth service and she's a minister. But the argument people say is that you don't need to have a youth service or a certificate to become a minister. I don't know how far the NBA will go with this, but, the president has initiated this lawsuit. Let's see where it goes.
So correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
I might be wrong on this, and I put a caveat out there. I thought what the NYSC law says was that if you finish school before the age of 30, you can be deployed. That's just it. That's what I thought. So if they have another argument, they should put it forward and test it. But what I know is that if you finish school before the age of 30, what they do is they give you an exemption. But you still have a certificate of some sort.
After the age of 30. Right?
Yeah, even after the age of 30. You still have an exemption certificate of some sort. That's it. In the case of Musawa, she had actually started her process. It's just that the process was not completed. So she falls within the age, grade and all of that. So take, for instance, in all fairness, I have friends that they went to first school, second school, they went up to PhD level. And they were well over 30 when they were deployed for NYSC. And they did NYSC. But they had finished the degree before they were 30. So I've seen that happen. That's, that about that. But if the MBA says they want to push it forward, let's see how they can test it. I think the back and forth was also the fact that Musawa did not declare, and it took an investigative report to come out for you to see. But I also made a very valid point.
Which is?
The point, I think it's not in this show, maybe other shows.
Okay.
As regards the fact that what the law stipulates, that what you need to be a minister is what a National Assembly official needs. Yeah. And I think further clarification also was made in the case of Kemi Adeosun, because she did go to court. And in fact, on this show, we had Egbon Dele Ogun, that's close to her, is also a lawyer, avid historian, and founder of the Fatherland Group, that came to discuss more as regards that, when that, and they got some clarity as regards that in court. But, the laws are out there for you to test. Let them test that. But that's what I think.
I would like for you to embellish on that point before we go to our last story.
I mentioned that the case, so former Minister Kemi Adeosun's case set a precedent for that, where the court ruled that as long as the requirements, or what it says according to law, is that a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is the same qualification as that of a serving House of Representatives member. And currently, if you have a school certificate, that's sufficient. So it's only if they presented as part of their certificate to the Senate that they finished from university, then they would need to defend it. But they could have actually been made minister just with their school certificates. That's what the ruling said. But like it's mentioned, there's still debates around that. But the ruling in Kemi Adeosun's case did state that when she was trying to defend her NYSC, it didn't exempt her, or he didn't remove her from the case of the forgery, but he did mention that at least she didn't need to have a certificate, an NYSC certificate, if she wanted to be minister, because according to the law, it's the level of Federal House of Representatives.
All right, then let's take our final story. A Nigerian woman identified as Ife Abike has called out the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board over the alleged breach of her daughter's data protection rights after a staff of the school board allegedly contacted her 15-year-old daughter using the number she registered on the UTME site. Abike, in a series of posts on X, shared details of her conversation with the 22-year-old JAMB staff, who claimed that he took her number because he could not help himself. Ayo, when I saw this story, I was upset, really upset. I mean, she posted a bunch of tweets, and then, she posted the chat, the conversation. This is one of the tweets she wrote. The guy is committing so many criminal offenses at once. It's crazy. He's still chatting with me. He says he got her number from the system after she registered and left because he couldn't help himself. JAMB, where are my daughter's data protection rights? But I believe JAMB has responded, and they have said that they are going to take action. But this goes to show the porosity. I mean, I know that it happens everywhere in the world, but just you can see these young people are not safe in this system. I'm glad that they've called out JAMB at this point, and I hope that that staff that has been texting this 15-year-old girl will pay the price. Ayo, I want you to comment on this one.
Absolutely. So there's a data protection policy, data protection law, and I believe that Nigeria has such provisions. That means that he has actually acted, he's actually committed an infraction. JAMB has said, I'm not sure, I was trying to check the updates, I'm not sure if they said they've apprehended him or they've been able to find him, but they really spoke out very strongly against it, and I'm glad that they did.
Let me read their statement. They said, the board as a regulatory agency does not condone any form of unwholesome practice that would bring its integrity to disrepute. You can be rest assured that your ward's information on our database is safe and intact. This 22-year-old.
So beyond that is also the fact that then we have a gap in the system.
Yes.
And it doesn't happen only in JAMB. How many times have you taken this, taxes, and then the person will be chatting you up privately, I like you, or like in Nigerian parliament, be toasting you from that. We don't actually know that it's a breach of data protection.
Yes,
because you have a number by virtue of a platform doesn't mean that you should use that number.
Yes.
It is very important, and I hope that we will, having identified this gap, not only will they apprehend the guy, but also plug the gap so that we protect our
But thank
children.
God it was her phone number she registered.
Thank
Imagine
God.
if it was the 15-year-old. We are wrapping up just 10 seconds. Imagine if it was the 15-year-old. No.
Only God knows
Yes.
what's happening to the data of our NIN number.
Of our NIN number. Well,
Of our NIN.
yes, of our NIN number. Well, I'd like to thank you both for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. We missed Dr. Abati. I did not hear from him today. Well, all right. That's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.